Welcome to the podcast. We do recover with Jared Miller, your host.
And I'm Dr. Terry Sellers, your co-host.
This is a podcast about recovery from addiction.
We want to talk about what successful recovery can look like.
Brought to you by High Desert Counseling, Rise Up Supplements, and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn.
Woo! Welcome, everybody. Episode 115 of We Do Recover with Jared Miller. Welcome to the podcast. We have a special guest today, David Brown. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here.
Good to have you here. We're going to get right into this thing and not beat around the bush.
I love it, Doc.
I like to
Just
beat
jump
around the
right
bush.
in.
Yeah.
You see
So
how he stole my notes?
I got to figure out what jumping in means. I don't know what we're doing here. Jeez. Well, Jared, you got something to start us off with?
Absolutely.
Why don't you start us
Episode
off with-
115 is brought to us by High Desert Counseling. High Desert Counseling is a progressive substance abuse treatment facility with a practical approach. They offer day treatment, morning and evening IOP, continuation of care, and Prime for Life programs. Check out their website at highdesert.help or give them a call at 435-673-2899. Their facilities are located in St. George and Cedar City, Utah.
Hey.
Episode 115,
Hey, wait,
part
before
1
you get
also.
before you get to the next one, I want to comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
No notes. Nailed it.
Nailed
Every
it.
single word was perfect in that sponsorship mention.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm so
Well,
proud
I mean,
of
I
you.
have it on my phone,
I'm
but
so proud of you. Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see your phone there.
I got a little
Sorry.
cheat sheet.
I've seen you read it before, though, and not get every word perfect.
That's
so
that's
there's
true.
that. All right,
Have-
next sponsor. Yeah, I'm not very loud. Make me louder, Sean.
So, episode
From the
115.
diaphragm, you want to speak. Project from the diaphragm.
You know what's funny is I listen to like other podcasts that are done like
diaphragm.
by professional companies, and I'm just so glad that we're just a bunch of goofballs having a good time.
Yeah, this is what we. Oh, geez, I just kicked the
You got
camera.
Stop
Terry
kicking
kicking
the
the camera.
camera.
You got Sean
People
shouting.
are
I
thinking-
specifically, nobody can see this, but the cameras don't sit on the table anymore. They sit there's a hole in
Yeah,
the table
yeah.
just for that whole reason because you guys kept kicking the table.
Right where my
And
right
so
where my
now,
foot is.
instead of kicking the table, you're kicking the
Right where the foot is.
half-inch pipe that holds the cameras.
Gentlemen,
I'm sorry.
we
What we're
had-
talking about
we had
professionalism?
squirreled.
Wait, the
we had
two-
squirreled.
Squirreled.
The two people that are watching thought we were having an earthquake just now.
Hey, speaking of that,
My wife and your
we
wife.
hit over 20,000 downloads.
Oh my gosh!
Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah, but
20,000 people wanted to listen to what we had to
I
say.
had no idea there were that many ridiculous people in the world.
That just goes to show, man,
Actually, I had
I
no
like
idea.
it. Let's jump into the second sponsorship
Second
and get this
sponsorship.
thing back on the rails.
Okay,
Episode
sorry.
115, part 2, or
Rise
part
Up
1,
Subs.
second sponsorship mention, Rise
Rise
Up
Up Subs.
Supplements. Rise Up Supplements is a nootropic line aimed at optimizing brain function and supporting mental health. They have 2 powerful blends. Mindful Mood helps decrease your anxiety and enhance your overall mood. Mind Shift helps increase focus and optimize brain function. Place your order today at riseupsups.com. That's RISEUPS.com. At checkout, use promo code podcast20 to save yourself 20% off. Coming soon, we're going to have some swag. The
Whoa.
orders over $100, you're going to get like a t-shirt
Sweet.
or a hat
Love that.
or a mug or something like that.
I
So
love that.
Nice.
man, it's cool. This thing's rocking and rolling. I think people, if they actually will try the supplements, they fall in love with them.
I got some mind shift going right now. Yeah, I
I
got
get it. Dude,
circulating
that's why
in
you
my
jumped
brain.
in front of me and you knocked out the intro.
Oh, is that what
Boom.
it is?
You're on it, dude.
Oh, I think that was it.
Should we kick off New and Goods?
Yeah, Jared.
Should we start?
Why don't you lead us?
Let's start with David today.
Okay. David, we have a segment called New and Goods. We just, at the beginning of this podcast, we like to ask what's new and good in your life. What's new and good in the life of David Brown?
Well, I got engaged.
What?
Yeah, I got engaged over Christmas.
To a human?
Yes, to a beautiful young lady.
Really?
Yeah,
You know what's
That is
crazy?
great.
Is your fiance does my wife's hair.
that's correct.
Did you know that?
I did know
I
that.
didn't know that. And then
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, you're having David on? That's
Hey, can I
so and so's
can I
fiance."
mention that your wife's hair looks fantastic today?
Uh-oh, I just got in trouble for saying don't do it. Okay.
Her hair
I
looks
love you.
fantastic.
It does.
What does she want you not to do?
I whispered don't do it. It was just kind of funny.
Oh, okay.
I just trying to be funny. I got myself in trouble. This happens often. It's
Yeah.
okay. It'll
I
all
did-
be okay.
I get it. How do you say married? Seriously.
I know. It's true.
Let's talk to David about getting married.
Okay, David.
Sorry, we got off track again.
Getting engaged.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
Want to throw her name out there? I didn't know, so I didn't say.
Yeah. Morgan Mendenhall.
Morgan Mendenhall.
Yeah.
Nice
Yeah.
job.
We're getting married September 30th.
Wow.
of this year. Yeah.
Where are you getting married? Do you know?
At what is the name of it? It's a little
Oh,
farm, Segmiller Farm.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. It'll be
Super
a
cool.
f-
You ever
yeah.
been married before?
Yeah, a long time ago. We'll get into that
Yeah,
in a little while.
He's like, that's
Yeah,
part
we
of
will.
this story today,
yes,
guys.
correct.
Was that Segmiller Barn?
Yes.
That's Barn. Oh yeah, that place is fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a great
gorgeous.
venue
Yeah.
and cheap.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cheap.
Don't drive up on the dirt though; they get mad.
Cheap
Yeah,
is, cheap
they
is
do.
good. Apparently, Sean drove on the dirt. Hey, Sean, what's new and good in your life?
I don't know.
I don't know. What is Eeyore?
Come on, Sean.
What's up
Think
with
hard,
Eeyore in the
Sean.
corner?
Really? Really? Okay.
Eeyore.
Oops, I got the wrong button.
Think hard, Scrooge.
I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what's
yeah,
new and good in my life.
I went to the gym 4 days in a row,
Hey, that a boy.
and I would have
Woo!
gone
Round
this
of applause.
morning, but I had a huge metal sliver in my foot, so I couldn't go.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Different
probably
story.
wouldn't have
But you
either.
know what? That's a huge thing for me. 4 days in a row.
I was going to say, from the time we started this podcast to today, you are half the man you used to be, and I mean that in a loving way.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, no.
You've lost a lot of weight.
Yeah,
I
but
saw-
it comes back on the next week.
You're doing the yo-yo?
Yeah, I'm just yo-yoing.
Yeah.
You're implying that I was huge and fat before.
No, but you've lost some weight.
What, like a pound or two?
Listen,
10
I'm a
here and
human
there?
being, and
yeah,
I'm
you weigh
entitled
4
to
pounds. You
my
lost a pound or
opinion.
two. You're half
That's
the man
right.
you used to be.
Cool. Congratulations.
See how quickly I did the math there? That was really
Let's
quick.
see if you can hit 5 next week, guy.
Yeah.
No
You know why I didn't go to
excuses.
the gym this morning?
Because your trainer wasn't scheduled?
Sean had a metal sliver in his foot.
I did.
Yeah, that's why I
That's the
didn't go.
kind of excuses you come up with?
Yeah.
What
What do
a
you
guy I know in
Needed
St. George.
magnetic tweezers.
Right. What do you got? What's new and good in the life of Jared R. Miller? I've made
New
up
and
your
good.
middle name.
It actually is my middle name.
Is it really? Yeah. I made that up. Seriously.
I had the opportunity this
What's your
afternoon.
middle name?
It's Roy.
Oh, I kind of knew that. It's back there somewhere in the recesses of a brain that has way too much inside
It was
of
buried
it.
deep in the subconscious.
Yeah,
So-
I can't take credit.
Are you ready for me to tell you?
No. I'll interrupt you 7 more times before you start. What's new and good in the world of Jared Roy Miller?
So I went to lunch today. We've been there. We have some really cool events coming up that I'm very excited to talk about. So the first event is the Shannon J Scholarship Talent in the Park. Sean's going to put up the little flyer.
Having problems. Hold on.
It is coming up. It is going to be June 3rd.
June 3rd.
You can get tickets that day,
Yeah.
and it starts at 11 o'clock.
This is, 11.
There it is, Talent in the Park.
Saturday.
June
It's Saturday.
3rd.
It's Sunday.
No, it's Saturday,
Saturday.
June 3rd,
11 p.m.
at the Ogden Amphitheater. No,
11 a.m. Okay, this is the one in Ogden. Sorry, I'm lost
So
here. I
you're
know
good.
there's one down here that's after the softball tournament. Sorry.
Yep. So this is the first one. It's going to be
Okay.
on Saturday of that weekend.
That's
Talent
up in
the Park,
Ogden, the
up in
Ogden Amphitheater.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the headliners are going to be Kalichi and Joe Nestor. Joe Nestor goes on stage at 5:30. Kalichi goes on stage at 7-ish, roughly, right? You know how these events go. You never know.
If you miss this, you're missing something.
Absolutely. These are going to be cool. So
Yeah,
so that's going to be in
we're
northern
lucky to
Utah.
have these
So
guys
I want to
here.
be clear about this. That's going to be in northern Utah. That's in
Right,
Ogden.
Ogden.
So Ogden, Idaho, Wyoming, listen up, right? We're calling out to you guys. We got a lot of people who listen to this podcast in those states. Check it out. Town in the Park. Go to Shannon J Scholarship. Follow them on Facebook. You can also see the promo on our Facebook page. And then we have the Sobriety Foundation.
Yeah.
So my new and good is one of the things I'm trying to do is raise money for the Sobriety Foundation through the sponsorships.
Nice of you.
And I know I know an individual who I may or may not have some ties through connection through recovery with that owns a business here in town, Cloud9. His name's Tyson. I got the opportunity to go to lunch with him. It was super cool. He's a really good dude.
What does Cloud9 do?
Cloud9 is a vape shop. They
Okay, I
sell-
thought so. That sounded familiar.
They sell like
Yeah.
the vape,
Yeah. I know.
vape stuff.
Yeah. I'm old, but not that old.
Right. So we went to lunch, and he's doing a gold sponsorship, and that was really
That's cool.
Yeah, he was just a solid dude. He's like, yeah, I want to be able to, give back to the community, and people have been good to us. They have locations in Cedar City, St. George, and Mesquite, so he's giving back to this area by doing a gold sponsorship.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind you of
That is
something.
going to be, let's show that promo.
Yep.
That's going to be Sunday, the day after the Town in the Park. It's called a Recovery Concert. It's at the Cox Performing Arts Theater on the Utah Tech campus. You can get your tickets by scanning the QR code that's also on our Facebook page, or you can go to, is it Utah Tech? Yeah, I'll post it in the comments on Facebook. So if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, go to our Facebook page. We do Recover with Jared Miller, and you can see the event and how you can get tickets. The more you buy in bulk, the better, right? Because if you get one ticket, it's $30.
Yeah, you were
2 or
down
more
to-
is 25. 5 or more is
20
20.
bucks, yeah.
That's a heck of a price to see these.
These
people.
guys are big time artists. Yeah, these
It's gonna be
guys
sweet.
do what they do quite well.
I've already had people from California, Nevada, and Arizona. I kid you not. Private message me and say, "Hey, how do we get the tickets?" Or, "Hey, the QR code. Listen, you got to kind of blow up the QR code on your phone and then scan it with a different phone. It's not when it's real tiny print. It doesn't go real well, but you can do it. I've done it.
These guys have 9 albums between them, I think. Maybe 11. I can't remember.
Oh, probably more than that. A
Is
lot.
it more? I think I looked. I tried to figure out what the number was, but anyway, they got a lot. They have a lot of released and material.
And I will say this. I'm not sure what ticket sales look like because I'm pretty sure you can't buy tickets until the day of the event for Challenge in the Park. But the Sobriety Foundation, you can buy those ahead of time, and we're already at like 50 people that have bought. Now, the theater only holds 1,100. So I realized that,
Get your
listen,
tickets.
like 50, 1,100, come on, Jared. But seriously, the closer this thing
get your
gets and the
tickets.
more flyers we put up around town, it's going to blow up.
Don't be left out.
Don't be left
This will
out.
be a fun event. It'll be after the sober softball tournament, so that'll be cool. The other thing is, I'm going to remind you. I don't know if you remember this, but you and I went to dinner a number of weeks back with a guy who works for a treatment center. We won't name names yet.
Okay.
Who promised us at least $5K for a sponsorship,
Which is the gold package.
or maybe $10K.
Which
He
is the
couldn't
platinum.
promise the $10K, but he said he'd work on it.
Yeah, tell that individual to reach out to me. I've sent him a text.
I'm on him. I'm working on him.
All right. I feel like this is getting drawn out. We got to get to David.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I got to do my.
Come
thing.
on, Doc. Silly seconds. Sellers,
yeah, I
silly
re-
seconds.
I
We're
refuse-
getting to David, everybody. We promise. David, thank you. You're a gentleman, kind sir, patient
I
man.
refuse to do the new and goods because I suck at it. So what I do is I look up the most ridiculous study I read that week, right? And this week I actually looked for ridiculous studies. Here it is. Ready?
Let's get it.
The name of this. So the name of the thing was measuring the brain activity of a dead salmon. No, that's not the name of a new Fall Out Boy album.
This is like an actual thing they did.
In a study with the snappily, this says snappily, but that's not the correct word there. In a study with the snappy title of Neural Correlates of Interspecies Perspective, taking in the postmortem Atlantic salmon and argument for multiple comparisons correction. What does that mean? Scientists put a dead salmon in an MRI machine and measured its brainwaves as it completed a series of tasks.
The dead salmon.
The dead salmon. To be entirely fair, the study wasn't really to ascertain what dead salmon think about, but to highlight how easy it is to get false positive in experiments of this kind. In their write-up, the researchers described their test subject thusly. Subject: one mature Atlantic salmon participated in the MRI study. The salmon was approximately 18 inches long, weighed 3.8 pounds, and was not alive at the time of scanning. And the experiment, here's how they describe it. The
Covered
task,
in a lovely butter and lamb sauce side of rice.
it was just about ready to
Side
be
of
put in
pilaf
another
rice.
warm machine, right? Yeah. The task they described thusly: the task administered to the salmon involved completing an open-ended mentalizing task. The salmon was shown a series of photographs depicting human individuals in social situations with a specified emotional valence. The salmon was asked to determine what emotion the individual in the photo must have been
Dude,
experiencing.
are you getting this from like these Hollywood
I kid
spoof-
you not.
Like,
I kid you not. Guess what?
Who did this?
$480,000 government grant was
Shut
applied
your
for the
mouth.
study of this
Are you
Atlantic
serious?
salmon.
$480,000?
Despite the absurdity of the
That's a lot of
experiment,
money.
they were actually able to. Yeah, this is taxpayer money. This is your money and my money. We paid money for this study.
Wow.
Despite the absurdity of the experiment, they were actually able to measure some brain activity in the dead salmon. This doesn't mean that we're dealing with some kind of emotionally intelligent zombie salmon, but shows that external interference can skew the results of functional MRI readings, resulting in a false result. It also shows that scientists can be sarcastic when they want to be.
Story sounds fishy.
Yes, it does. That's my.
You know
that's,
what, Sellers? I was kind of skeptical about the whole
That's
Sellers
my
silly
silly
seconds, but
seconds.
you come up with some pretty funny ones.
that one.
man.
That one's ridiculous,
That's
isn't it?
that's so ridiculous.
That is absolutely absurd. Well, we got 10 minutes left in this segment, so let's move right on into
Let's get
David
it.
Brown. Tell me who David Brown is. Tell us a little bit about yourself right now.
Well, I live here in St. George.
Okay.
43.
Okay.
I have 2 daughters. One that lives with me. They're 14 and 8, and the 8-year-old lives with me.
Okay.
I run a concrete batch plant out in Big Water, Utah for
Where's
work.
Big Water, Utah?
Right before Page, right before Lake
Okay.
Powell.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So I deal with a lot of heavy equipment and batching concrete. We did all the ramps out there for the extensions for the water being so low.
Okay. Yeah.
way cool.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
You left out a huge part of who you are, David. This guy's like a dirt bike riding
Yeah,
fanatic.
well,
You know what I'm saying?
I can
Like,
almost tell that. I mean,
like
first of all,
he-
I can see the hat.
Yeah, I got the
He's hell on
KTM
two
hat on.
wheels.
Yeah, I can see the hat. You're clearly.
Yeah, that's one of the joys of recovery, is finding some hobbies, getting back to the hobbies that you used to do when you were a kid, and that's what I did, and that is what has helped me stay sober.
I
you
got to
know?
be honest with you. I find that to be a hobby that leads people to addiction.
Really?
Yeah,
well,
because
Does it
motocrossers,
crash?
they all have broken bones. They
And-
spend their life growing
That's
up
fair,
with
that's
broken
fair.
bones
and
all
that
the time.
and that is a part of my story, actually.
Yeah, a lot
You
of
know?
lot of pain pills. Like I've treated a whole bunch of people that are motocross riders and tons of pain pills growing up. All legit. Like
Yeah.
almost all legit until it becomes not legit, but
Right, until the physical hook gets in there.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, but most of them start legit. They got a bone sticking out. Jeez, they deserve some pain pills.
Yeah, what's the guy that says the opposite of addiction? Johan Hari. I don't
just-
care
I
what
was
you
just
say,
reading his
Johan Hari. There are physical hooks in these opiates out here these
I was
days.
just reading his book on ADHD. I don't agree with it either.
We're gonna have that dude on one of these times. We're just gonna beat him up, just verbally.
No,
just
I'm sure he's a
What are you
lovely-
thinking, Johan?
I'm sure he's a lovely dude. Okay, keep going. Let's
smart.
Let's
But
get
what-
off of Johan Hari and back to David. Brown.
Let's get this. You're on a podcast about recovery from addiction.
Right.
Where does your addiction start? What does it look like?
Hey, a sec. I want to know what he got for Christmas growing up.
No, Sellers, we've already talked about this. We're skipping.
Shoot.
So my first drink was when I was probably 12, and you know,
Tell me a little about that. How do you get a drink at 12?
well, so funny story. We were driving on our way out of town, and I was with my parents and the family. We were heading out boating, and I asked my dad if I could have a beer, and he thought he was going to teach me a lesson. And yeah, I drank 2 beers, and I got sick, and the whole that all happened, and then yeah, it scared me.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how like the old timers? That's how they thought.
Yeah,
Like,
what I-
listen, my dad caught me in the barn with a can of chew. Do you know what he did?
made you
you
chew the
finish it.
whole thing.
He made
Yep.
me put the whole can in my mouth.
Yep.
Guess what I still struggle with to this day?
Chew.
Nicotine addiction.
'cause
Yeah,
you-
I do the zins
Well,
and the ons.
Part of it's because you're dumb and can't learn the lesson. But
So I totally believe you when you say that. Like I
Yeah.
can picture it.
Yeah.
Like your dad's like, I'm gonna teach this boy a lesson.
I did
Yeah.
the same thing. I asked my mom if I could have a beer when I was 8. My grandfather drank. My parents didn't. But at 8, I took a sip and thought, this is disgusting. So I didn't even finish the beer because my mom wasn't going to force me to finish it. But it doesn't taste very good.
My pride wouldn't let me not.
Yeah,
finish
okay,
it.
because you were 12. At
Yeah.
12, I might have been different. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, and then so time progressed. I got into middle school, and then got introduced to marijuana, and
The devil's
Hi,
lettuce.
Yes.
I'm Marijuana. Nice to meet you.
yeah, and from there it just, I kind of stayed in the simple party scene of smoking a little bit of weed and drinking some alcohol on the weekends, and then a major event happened in my life where I found,
You're hiding all this from your parents.
yes, correct,
Yeah.
and
Still can't drive a car.
yeah, still can't drive a car, just riding my BMX everywhere,
right.
And but I had a my
Where'd you
best,
grow up? Did you grow up here?
No, I grew up in Salt Lake.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Brighton High,
Okay.
and
I'll forgive you for that.
Yeah. But I had a best friend commit suicide, and
Jeez.
I was the one that found him.
How old were you?
I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah, me and his dad found him hanging from the rope on the backside of the house,
Man.
and it traumatized me.
Yeah.
it.
Well, don't.
At the time, I was going through the motions and whatnot, but at the time, I didn't realize the depth
Like how much?
of the the pain that came from that, because he and I shared a birthday. Our birthdays were a day apart, and every year on our birthdays, we would go up skiing. That was kind of our thing. And that night before we were supposed to go skiing,
Jeez.
yeah,
That's
when it all went
Was he
down.
drinking and smoking with you?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Yeah, man. Listen.
More than you or same amount, you think?
Yeah, pretty similar.
About the same.
Yeah.
And who knows, right? Because
Well, we don't
we're
know.
speculating. So let's just throw that out there.
Did you just make up a word?
Speculating?
I think you-
Anyways,
Speculating.
thank you. Speculating. I'm not a doctor.
Not speculating.
I speculated back when I
We're
was a
spaghettiing.
gynecologist.
We're spaghettiing here.
I used to speculate back when I was a gynecologist.
Speculating.
Speculamate.
Speculating.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is substance abuse is tough on a fully developed brain. It is extremely tough on an adolescent brain.
That's a
Absolutely.
good point. I'll let you have
And
that
if you
point.
have some depression and some anxiety, it's like putting out a fire with gasoline. It just doesn't work.
That's the thing is that at those stages of development, right, we don't have the coping mechanisms to handle that stuff.
Yeah.
Correct.
All those kind of things. Like it's too much. It's terrible for an adult to see a friend die. As an adolescent, it's a lot worse
Yeah.
for sure.
Do you
Yeah.
spangulate? Whether that had anything to do with
With
You
how
have to confess
how,
that to his bishop.
It's a very personal question.
okay, we're stopping.
yeah
guys.
with how how my life turned out and or how it tracked from that
Do you
point.
think that it led to him committing suicide?
No, I think it was more of a vengeance thing against his parents because his parents, he was failing in school and yeah, and so
That's some pretty tough parents.
So his relationship with his parents wasn't very good.
it was, but he just wasn't making the right choices and they were doing the tough love, which
Yeah.
rightfully so.
And that's understandable. No judgment. I just wondered if
Yeah.
if you thought there was some correlation there.
No, and I've thought about it a lot over the years, and that's kind of what I've chalked it up to.
Okay. So does your substance abuse fuel or decrease after you witnessed? your friend?
It decreased for a little while. I came from a great household. I got a mother that was really stern, but I needed that.
Yeah.
That was the only reason why I graduated high school. Is I had a mother that pushed me, and from that point, I kind of made a little bit of a turnaround. I'd been playing golf, and I became pretty good at golf. I played in Utah Junior Golf and won
Hold
some
on.
tournaments. And
Hold on a second. We're gonna have to explore that for a minute. Golf.
Sellers will take you out golfing and determine whether you're a good golfer.
No,
or
he's
not.
probably way better than me, but that's fine because I'm going to enjoy it every
This
bit.
guy
as much
likes
as he
his
does.
9 holes.
I do
Yeah.
love. I don't know what he's talking about.
Golf,
I never play 9 holes.
Yeah, I know. You always
Can't,
play
I
18.
can't
Yeah.
stand to go
I
out
know.
and play
that's a tease, 9 holes.
9. Yeah, that's I'm barely getting warmed up. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Played some junior golf
Yeah,
tournaments and stuff.
yeah, won some tournaments as a
Okay.
kid and was pretty good at it. And
Awesome.
then as I got into high school,
Where'd you golf growing up?
all through the whole
Oh,
state.
Salt Lake County.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I
the
played-
tournaments are everywhere, right?
Yeah, yeah, through the whole state.
But- okay.
Yeah, we'd come down here. There was a early tournament in the
Sure,
year that was
sure.
in St. George, and so yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, and then joined the golf team in high school. And
Brighton High golf team.
Yep, Brighton High golf
Brighton
team.
High, any good?
Yeah, we were actually really
they?
good. Yeah, we won region quite a few
Okay.
times, and
Sweet.
yeah, placed pretty high in state
Golf tends to
individually.
keep people away from substances. So let's keep going. How do you
Yeah.
get back to substances?
Yeah, so not on my team.
Well, okay. In high school, maybe not, for
Yeah.
sure. And John Daly, probably not.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, and so yeah, I completed high school, and then as soon as I was out of high school, I was like, I need to get out my parents' house. I need to get back onto my own, my own place, and then that's where things took off. I got my own apartment, and
Still in Salt Lake?
still in Salt Lake.
Didn't go to school after high school?
Nope.
Okay.
I actually had a full ride scholarship to Utah State.
Oh,
And
interesting.
and
Wait,
turned
how
it-
old are you?
How old am I? I'm 43.
Oh, I'm going to talk to you in a minute. I have a son that was
Playing at
played
that time
Utah State.
So you turned down a full ride scholarship
because I
for
was
independence to
Yes.
move into your own apartment.
and
to
I was
do your
done
own
with
thing.
school. Yeah, I was just sick of somebody having the thumb over me. But little did I know I was trading it for a different thumb.
Little did you know you needed the thumb.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just chose a different thumb.
Yeah.
But it was the thumb of your choosing, so it's fine, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why that was the justification behind
Well,
it.
it is. It's we all at that stage. We all rebel against authority. Authority can be our parents. It can be our government. It can be our church. It can be our. But we all have a tendency to have some rebelliousness against authority, because we're starting to stretch our wings. We're starting to try to become adults and figure it out for ourselves, and we don't want somebody else to tell us how to do it.
Right.
I also think between like somewhere in the middle of middle school to like your mid 20s, your curiosity around substances for some reason, like that's the age, right? And I don't care what anybody says about marijuana not being a gateway drug. It really is, because most people, it's like there's a lot of movies about it and it's glorified, and people nowadays are arguing whether it's medical use or not. And so it really can become like, if you're curious, that's the one that you're going to start out with. This has been fantastic. Stick around. We got a little 30-second sponsorship mention, and then we're going to jump right back to David Brown's story. Thank you.
You are listening to We Do Recover with Jared Miller and co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers. We'll be right back after this short break with more of We Do Recover with Jared Miller. Brought to you by High Desert Counseling, Rise Up Supplements, and the Hilton Garden Inn.
High Desert Counseling is an adult outpatient substance abuse treatment facility. We offer multiple services including day treatment, morning and evening intensive outpatient services, continuing care, and Prime for Life. What makes us different is our emphasis on gathering all of the information before enrollment. We do this by offering a thorough evaluation by a credentialed professional. Once we have committed to you and you have committed to us, don't worry, insurance will not dictate your treatment. Lastly, the pretzel effect. We are a brief intervention where we connect our clients to community, mental health, and medical professionals to help maintain recovery for life after treatment. At High Desert Counseling, we strive to be the bridge from active addiction to recovery, community, and connection.
We welcome you back to We Do Recover with Jared Miller, co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers.
Brought to you by High Desert Counseling, Rise Up Supplements, and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn.
And now with part 2 of our podcast, Jared Miller and Dr. Terry Sellers.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 115. David Brown is, we got him all the way to just out of high school, experimenting with substances and such. But before we go back to that, a couple of quick housekeeping things. Segment 2 is sponsored by the Hilton Garden Inn. The Hilton Garden Inn, have you ever been there?
Yes,
That's the place
many
right there.
times.
You want to go to the Hilton
Love
Garden
the
Inn,
Hilton
trust me.
Garden Inn.
Hilton Garden Inn in St. George. If you happen to be traveling through southern Utah, look them up, give them a shot at your business. They have beautiful facilities. Rooms are gorgeous and big, and clean. The food's fantastic. The pool's fantastic. The hot tub's fantastic. The weight room's good. I actually went last time.
They
I
give
know.
us a discount when our guests are from out of town and need a place to stay. They don't even pay us. And I'm going to say this.
Yes.
For what the value for your dollar in southern Utah, the St. George Hilton Garden Inn is the best value for your dollar. Like, the rooms are
agree.
spacious.
Yeah, the
They
rooms
have a
are
really
big.
nice pool.
Big rooms.
And they're not that expensive
Yeah.
compared to some other places.
Absolutely. And the staff's great. That's the thing we ought to mention. too.
Estefonia.
We mention her every
fantastic.
time. Yeah.
Love that lady.
All right, so let's get back to it. Jared made a comment before we stopped, before we got to the break, that I just wanted to comment on.
You want to argue about?
No, I just want
wanna
to
debate
point
about
out that I think it's. So you said that teenagers' curiosity about drugs and alcohol, that also is a function of rebellion, because we grow up with those in authority telling us not to do that stuff. Some of us watch our parents drink, and then our parents tell us not to drink. And so that doesn't work well for a teenager, because
All right,
teenagers are
that's
smart
valid.
enough to figure out. Yeah, I'm not arguing the point. I'm just saying that is a function. A lot of times teenagers, that is a function of A, curiosity for sure, but B, rebellion a little bit. So let's go back to where we were. You were, you got a place on your own. Now you can do whatever you want. Talk to me about how your use.
Yeah, so I just was working a job and having a roommate and trying to make as many friends as I possibly could. That was
Doing the young adult life.
doing the young adult life and house parties,
Partying and
throwing kegs and
Especially in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's the scene. It's the biggest city in Utah.
Yep, correct. And it just slowly progressed. It became everyday drinking and turned, bounced from, like it says in the big book, bouncing back and forth from this to that, and and it just slowly got worse and worse and worse. At one point in time, I had gotten 2 DUIs by the age of 21, and my bright idea.
Hold on. You got 2 DUIs before you were legally old enough to drink.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
I
David,
also had.
I'm a substance abuse counselor. Your
You might
diagnosis
have a
is
problem.
You might have a problem
Correct.
with alcohol.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I also had 8 minor possessions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Possessions
Yeah.
of mostly weed?
No. I did have. Well, no, that was not until later possession of weed, but no, possession of alcohol or consumption.
So
Never mind.
alcohol was like your,
I
your
forgot.
vice. It was
Yeah,
your.
I was thinking you
daily-
can't get a possession charge for alcohol, but you can if you're less than 21.
Yeah,
That's true.
I had a fake ID, so that was how I bought
That's
it
how you
before
get it.
21. Yeah,
Sure.
but yeah, and then painkillers came into the whole clause. Of
How'd
like,
you get started on painkillers?
just a friend had some, that he probably took from his parents, and then
Oh, so not even prescription. like
no,
your
it wasn't.
prescription.
It wasn't something that I was prescribed. But
Did you
yeah.
motocross growing up?
Yeah, I rode dirt bikes growing up.
Okay.
Yeah, and then through even in high school, I had a dirt bike, and then
Did you ever have exposure to pain pills prescribed to you by a doctor growing up?
yes, that was later. That was later when I wrecked my dirt bike, but that was 10 years later.
Okay.
But it was a relapse actually.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. But yeah, so
But that's not what got you into pain pills.
no, it
What
was
got
just
you into it?
it
A friend
was,
had some.
just the curiosity, like you said. I wanted to honestly. I had it set in my mind. Let's try every drug that's out there.
And
Might as
listen,
well.
I'm not that much younger than you. Like our generation is the opiate generation. Like the
Absolutely.
whole pandemic, epidemic that's going on is like, I know Sellers is going to probably disagree, but I consider myself the OxyContin era.
Yeah,
Because
me
that
too.
is what was booming, and
Me
I mean,
too.
I was in high school, and I knew multiple people in high school that could get OxyContin. Like it was just crazy accessible.
No, Sellers is not going to disagree.
Funny.
Your generation is the opioid generation. I was only smiling because that makes me an opioid geezer.
Would it be Quaaludes back then?
Quaaludes, yeah, but I didn't do any of that stuff. I got hooked on opiates, but much later than most people do. So, anyway, let's.
Funny story about that. OxyContin came into my story. I was living in a different apartment. This is 5-6 years later, and no, not even that long. Probably 3 years later. I was living in a different apartment, sitting in the hot tub, and enjoying myself, having some cocktails, and a little old lady in the hot tub with me. And we got to talking about how she survived cancer and this and that, and she got to telling me that she had like 4 or 5 jars of OxyContin sitting in her house. And
Sweet old lady was your
and my
Oxy Connect.
and
We
my
love this little old lady, don't we? Wow.
and my mind, I got to jump on this. This is it right here. Here's my ticket. And so before you knew it, I had all those bottles in my possession, and I bought them from her at a screaming price.
I feel like at this point I need to throw this out there. If you're listening, we are throwing out great examples of stinking thinking.
Yep.
And we are doing a little bit of glorifying. And here's my thing. Time plus tragedy equals humor. There's a lot of recovery in this room. And we can look back and we can laugh about it now. I don't encourage people in super early recovery to run down the nostalgia days. It is kind of funny though, right? Like
Yeah.
this
No, we're
old
talking
lady-
about
Absolutely.
a story though, and we got to get to it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we're glorifying the fact that he bought them from her. I hope we're not doing that because that's for sure.
Well,
not
I
the goal, but-
manipulated her, like
like every addict does, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it had nothing to do with her, but everything to do with me. So I took advantage of the situation, and then that's when OxyContin came into my story, and then I ran with that for a couple years, and then it became too expensive, and then heroin was the next thing.
When you switch back in, like when you switched to the opiates, though, was alcohol still pretty present? Was it still a daily vice, or did you
No.
cross? You totally crossed
Mostly
over.
opiates.
Completely crossed
Went to
over. I
opiates.
still used weed, marijuana for on and off. It wasn't every day, but it was.
You didn't stop drinking though.
It's
Did ya?
it just slowly transitioned to just all drugs.
But you go to a party, you don't drink at
No,
that stage.
I'd have a drink, but I'd have to have some of the.
But it wasn't a daily thing?
I'd have to have the opiates
yeah.
in my system first.
Yeah, okay.
Like it was just the way it worked.
All right.
I just find it interesting that there's a thing in substance abuse where you have a substance abuse diagnosis. And then if people are using multiple substances at the same time every single day, well, it doesn't have to be every single day, but within the same time frame, then we consider that a polysubstance abuse, right? Because you're
Correct.
abusing more than one substance. And what I find interesting is a lot of people, when they cross over from one to another, they leave the other one behind, or they do I'm going to use this to get off of that, and that game. And so I think sometimes
How many times you heard that? I used meth to get off of heroin.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
right,
a great decision.
right.
By the way.
And so, anyways, it's just I guess for me.
Sorry if I interrupted you.
No, you're okay. I just wondered if it was a poly thing, like if you were using both of them, or if you did the
Sounds like you went pretty much.
transition,
Yeah,
the cross
well,
addiction.
And I was always using more than one substance. through my whole career of addiction, it was always more than one substance.
Whatever was readily available.
Yeah,
You'd be a
whatever I could get my hands on, I was doing.
So you'd be a
I had
polysubstance
preferences, but whatever I could get my hands on.
Got ya.
How'd we get to the point where stuff starts to get hairy for you, like things starting to add up that says you should stop?
As soon, well, I mean, I had those signs when I got the DUI.
Well, the DUI is one of them for sure.
I mean, yeah, and then I got arrested. I finally got arrested. Well, I went to treatment 2 times, back to back, at the
Before any legal involvement, like
before
possession,
before any legal involvement.
felonies.
Yeah, I just showed up on my parents' doorstep,
Okay.
like 2 weeks before Christmas, saying I want help.
I need help.
You know.
Okay.
And I went to the oh man, what's the church one? Not the LDS church, but the Salvation Army.
Okay.
I went to the Salvation Army 2 times, and it was in Paris, California.
Yeah, I
Great
was gonna say.
facility. Great facility, 6-month long program. The first time I went,
Wow.
lasted 3 months. Called mom. Mom gave in, let me come home. Week later, I'm already back.
Sure.
It was just how it worked.
Okay.
So then time progresses. I finally get arrested. I got to pick up my first possession
Arrest
charges.
was for possession.
Felony. It was felony
yes,
back then.
felony possession of cocaine because I was speedballing.
Okay.
Possession of cocaine and possession of heroin. I got arrested right next to the homeless shelter in Salt Lake City. Yeah.
That's where you were buying.
Well, when I couldn't find it anywhere else.
That was my residence for 9 months.
Oh yeah, the block was the
Yeah, sure.
spot. Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
Ugh, every
Bring
time
back,
I drive
bring back good memories for you.
no, it's awful. Every time I
sick.
drive through Salt Lake, you can see it from the freeway, and it's just like it just makes my stomach.
You know what's
curl.
funny? To this day, 8 years later, if I'm driving through Salt Lake, before I hit 6 South, if I'm coming southbound, or before I hit 4th North when I'm going northbound, I make sure if I'm not with somebody, I have somebody on the phone.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, there's something about that it's just,
Yeah. It's still so real.
yeah.
Still so real.
And I don't know if it's still so available, but like,
Yeah.
there's
It's
something about
still pretty
24/7 service that
Yeah.
I don't care how strong you are. If you don't have a safety plan or support system, you can end up sideways real fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I end up getting arrested, right, and end up in Salt Lake ADC.
jail.
Yep. And I'm in there for about 3 to 6 months, somewhere in between there, and I'm waiting to get into drug court.
Significant amount of time.
Yeah. So I finally get into drug court, do the whole drug court thing, and while in drug court, that's when I met my first wife. And
Great place to look
Yeah,
for
oh, yeah,
wives. Drug
yeah.
court is a really good.
Fantastic.
That's where I recommend you go looking
Yeah.
for wives. Is drug
that's-
court.
when I share my
Better the bar.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bars are-
The bar's a good place too.
When I share
Or
my,
treatment.
Yeah, when I share my story in the rooms, that's one thing I say. I did what we all do. We fall in love in treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of
That
taking
oxytocin, boy,
Yeah.
it's just like heroin, man.
Yeah,
It releases some dopamine in the midbrain.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's no
gotta have
joke.
it.
But anyway, so her and we both graduate drug court. About halfway through, we find out she's pregnant.
Halfway
So-
through drug court.
Yes, and so we find
Not
out.
one session of drug court.
Yeah, halfway through it.
Talking about the
Sellers.
whole link of the drug court. Sorry. I don't
Yeah.
I
think
thought maybe they got the little conference rooms just outside the.
Sure.
I
need
thought
to have a
that's what
conference with
happened.
this-
Like
I need to have a
halfway
conference
through.
with this young lady.
That's right. I thought he called a conference.
Yeah, and then they ran out. and
Your
grabbed
Honor, time out.
Grabbed a pregnancy
Can I
test.
get a-
Oh, she's pregnant.
Okay, I'm
Okay,
sorry. We're squirrely.
We lost
You're
our
good.
mind. We lost
You're
our
good.
mind.
This is part of the magic,
Yeah,
though. You know, it's
absolutely.
But
just-
listen,
it's just
this is
chaos.
common, and I don't want to take too much time deviating from the story. But you made a good point. We've never explored this on this podcast, but you put a person in treatment or drug court, one of those two things, right?
Same
You're
thing.
taking away their ability to release massive amounts of dopamine in their brain that they get from the drugs and alcohol. What's left?
Right.
Sex is left.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar is left. There's a few things
Yes,
left,
please.
and
Yes, please.
we need that. Like addicts, you can't go from that much dopamine to nothing and not be depressed about it. So they're looking for ways to get dopamine in their brain. Well, sex is one of those ways.
Yeah. Yeah. It first starts with validation because
I
you're not
also think
okay
it-
with who you are. As soon as you walk into treatment, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a wreck.
I'm a piece of
you still
crap.
can't really recognize the person you see in the mirror. All those feelings are arising. And then you have somebody that shows you attention and it just validates.
David,
point.
our
Really good point.
brains just sunk
Yes.
at that same moment. Because I was just going to say, there's something to be said about, I feel like I'm a disgusting person, But if this individual over there likes me, I'm getting validation through them. I must not be that bad of a person if they're attracted to me. And so it's a whole psychological thing
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Beautiful point. Really good point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we got multiple stuff. Why don't we just do gender only treatments?
Well,
that's what we should
There
be
are
doing.
some.
Just
Yeah.
kidding.
There are some, but
I know. I'm just trying
We
to be
can go down
silly,
that road
right?
for a
But you're
while.
right. That is. It's like
there are places that do like there are male only. Like
I-
Renaissance Ranch for a long time did only males.
Yeah,
for
I went to quite a few. I've been to treatment. I mean, between going to drug court 3 times, Salvation Army twice, Odyssey House.
Did you ever meet Robert Downey Jr. in any of those places?
No, I did not.
That's always my go-to.
What is that? What the heck is that?
Because he's been to like a million
Yeah,
places.
he has.
It's interesting though that
I also think that if I just keep saying his name, one day he'll call me and be like, "All right, I got to be on your podcast.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to call you.
I'm going to bring the Iron
I
Man."
probably
suit."
wouldn't hold your breath waiting for that call. Dang it. Okay.
But yeah,
Back
so
to David Brown. We don't want to talk about Robert Downey Jr.
yeah,
David
so
Brown's better looking than Robert Downey Jr.
This is what he does, dude.
yeah,
As
so
soon as you start talking again, he's going to say something.
yeah. But
I'm lecturing Jared for interrupting. While I interrupt.
so yeah, I find out I'm having a kid on the way, and so what was the right thing to do? Is we thought we should get married, so we got married.
Good
and
for
then,
you. Man.
Yeah, and then after our daughter was born, her and I both relapsed. We thought that we could,
Well, congratulations. You just had a baby.
yeah, we just had a baby. Exactly, like celebrate, like
And your wife probably, if she's a drug addict, probably did a really nice job of not using during pregnancy.
Yeah,
and it's over now, so hey.
Well, and also we were in drug court, so I mean, like,
Yeah.
she still had the choice, but there was still that thumb,
Yeah.
But we completed drug court, had our daughter.
Good job.
And about, I don't know, it was about 6 months afterwards, we decided to get loaded again. And
Were you working a program? Were you involved in any recovery
No,
stuff?
I mean,
or
like-
were you just abstinent during drug court?
no, I worked drug court pretty good. I mean, I participated in
You were
group.
hitting fellowships. You were doing
Yes, I
recovery
was-
events.
yes,
you
I
would
was-
have been one of the people at the concert that we're about to throw.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, but then as soon as the thumb was off, it just slowly dwindled.
And that's what I meant. I meant after
No,
drug
not
court.
after. No. It
Right,
just,
because you have to go to like 3 a week,
Yep.
right? So you were doing the stipulated, mandated
yes.
stuff.
And it was get it behind me so I can get back to my life.
But by David's own free will, you weren't choosing to participate in a life of recovery after.
100%.
Okay.
Yep. And so we ended up relapsing, and in that night of relapsing,
What'd you relapse on that night?
heroin and cocaine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a brutal
I mean,
combo.
Why not?
Yeah, and it's just like everybody says. You pick up right where you left off, and so I mean,
Which is how most people die.
Which is how some people actually die,
and
right?
to finish this story off, in that night, I nodded off, woke up too, lights still on, TV still going, and walked upstairs and found my wife laying in the bed, blue,
Oh, jeez.
with our 6-month-old daughter in the crib next to the bed.
Oh.
Yeah, it was, and so that put a hamper on my lifestyle that I
That'll
was trying
sober
to.
you up real quick.
Yeah, and so
Or not, but yeah.
dealt with all of that by going to Odyssey House, and I went to the Parents and Children's program up there, and I was in it for about 16 months.
Court ordered or voluntarily?
Well, I admitted myself voluntarily,
Okay.
and then they ended up turning it into the family court
I see.
guidelines, so to speak. And so my daughter came there and lived with me, which was really cool. Like being in treatment and having your child with you, and then you get a kind of
That is cool.
it's
I
a
wanna-
cool program.
I'm sorry. I just want to clarify.
I'm going to probably ask the same question
Go
you're
ahead.
about to ask. Did your wife survive this? She didn't die.
No,
She died.
She did. She
Okay. I
passed
wasn't
away.
100% sure.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's
And-
no wonder.
Yeah,
That's
and the
devastating.
reason why I wanted to bring this instance up is because it haunted me for the next
Oh, for sure.
10 years, because I chose, even in Odyssey House, I talked about it in group, and I did assignments on it, and tried to understand the pain that I was going through, but I didn't let everything come out. I was sick of talking about it at one point,
Sure,
and
sure.
so. Yeah,
Well,
man.
can I just
Yeah.
2 seconds? I'm just going to jump in real
Yeah.
fast. There's a difference between talk therapy and like EMDR or ART or some type of trauma specific therapy.
Right.
Right. So you can talk about it. You can do assignments around it. And for some people, that's helpful. For some people, traumatic events, it's helpful to tell the whole story. And that really helps with some healing. And you can do some assignments around it. But it's not going to replace trauma-specific treatment, right? Which is the EMDR, which is the ART. Doc, you have an opinion on that?
Nope.
Okay. That's honestly everything that I... Go ahead.
Absolutely. And so, I ended up getting done with Odyssey House and ended up moving to Colorado and staying with my sister. And then
Where'd you move in Colorado?
Craig, Colorado, a small little
Craig.
town on
I know
the
where
west side.
Craig is, yeah.
And lived there with her for, 6-9 months. And
So you
ended
did
up,
geographical. Did you
Yeah.
do that because you wanted to be away from all
well,
your friends?
and
that
I
had-
really didn't have anywhere to go. And then my daughter would have her cousin to play with.
Oh, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but needless to say, I relapsed once again. And this time it was Adderall.
Turns out there's drugs in Colorado
Oh
too.
yeah,
huh?
yeah, and there's doctors everywhere that
What?
if I'm manipulating them, I can get whatever I want.
And
you know?
drug seeking.
Yep. And so, yeah, and then
what was your rock bottom?
so my rock bottom was right before I went to this last treatment center I went to, and it was called the John Volkin Academy. It was a 2-year.
How old are you?
I'm 43. When I
No,
went in,
Yeah.
How old were
30,
you?
36, 37 I went in.
36, you take a 2-year,
Drug
you
and
make a
alcohol
commitment to go to a 2-year.
Yep,
Wow.
in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
But right before I went in, that was my bottom. And at this point, methamphetamines was a part of my story because it was the one
Was,
thing.
was
I could
there an
get all the
event
time.
that led you to go to the treatment center?
Oh yeah, staring down the barrel of a pistol.
Okay.
Yeah,
that'll
like
do it.
it had just gotten to the point where I saw my only way out was death.
So that was your hand holding the other end of that pistol.
Correct.
So
Correct.
suicide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just had enough, and something came over me. God bless my father. You know, he would always pick up his phone no matter what time of day, and he would at least listen to me. You know, he knew that I was probably calling and not in the right mind, but he picked up that night and talked me through it. And he said, "Okay, I'll get on a plane. I'll be down to St. George tomorrow morning on the earliest plane I can be down."
Wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Thanks, Dad.
yeah.
So 2 years
Exactly.
in Seattle.
2 years in Seattle.
That's a pretty good start on a recovery
Yeah,
journey.
yeah, and I ended up staying up there another 1.5
Really?
after that
At
because
the place.
no, not at the treatment
Just in
center. After
Seattle.
I got done, I got my own apartment, and the gentleman that actually brought the AA meeting into the recovery center is still in contact with him. The one became my sponsor, and the one hired me for a job.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I worked with a bunch of people in recovery doing construction, and you know, huge shout out to Tyler, Jordan, and Brian, and
That's nice.
yeah, and Phil. Like those guys, they paved the ground for me, and they were all, you know, pretty far in, 3-4 years in, and so they gave me this idea of what recovery looked like. Like they gave me that example of what it should look like and how to get my finances under wrap and my credit and
Let's just say it. They basically teach you how to live life again.
100%.
Right,
And
like-
these men, like they showed me how to be a man again, you know,
Yeah.
like just pay my bills, show up for work, you know, and like it was one of the best decisions I ever did was staying up in Seattle for that 1.5 years after before I came back to my home turf.
So cool.
Yeah, super cool. Still in contact with all of them. They're all probably coming to my wedding. My buddy Tyler's part of my line. I mean, it's just.
I look forward to meeting them.
Yeah.
I will be at the wedding.
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely,
That's super cool.
absolutely.
I can't remember the exact phrase, but it's something to do with the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is unparalleled or something like that, right?
Absolutely.
That's bingo. Like that's what you're talking about that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That seems to be one of the ways that addicts can relate to is that so for me, I'm a physician, right? People come in to see me and they look at me suspiciously because I've never been there. Well,
So
actually,
they assume.
right? They assume I have, right? I haven't. I have. I've been addicted to opiates, but that if a person who studied it out of a book tries to tell an addict how to live, they're not going to respond to that.
Yeah.
If somebody who's been where they've been says, "Here's how to live," then you can receive
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, as a substance abuse counselor, the second I say, you know, my name is Jared Miller, I would consider myself a person in long-term recovery. I have over 8 years clean. Immediately, people perk up, pay attention, right? Like
Right.
there's something to
Yeah.
be said about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's respected because they know how hard it is to even game one day.
But I have no secret.
Yeah.
My secret's the same as yours. I had to have another dude
Guide
tell me
through
what to
life.
do. I had
Yeah.
to run questions past another dude
Yep.
for years.
Yeah.
let's
That's
get-
so many phone calls.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
get to, we're running out of time. We got less than 2 minutes left, but I want to talk about recovery like today. Like what's recovery look like for you? What are you doing in recovery? Like what are some of the blessings you've gotten out of being clean and sober? And
Oh
that
man,
sort of stuff?
I mean,
everything.
the spirituality side of it. You know, I got somebody in my corner all the time. My higher power is always with me. You know, and I give him all credit. You know, all I had to do was drop to my knees and say I need help. You know, and it all started from there. You know, I got
It's amazing what humility does. Like when you finally give
it's
up and
huge.
say, I need something else's help.
But you know, it's crazy. I got a fiance, I got a beautiful little 8-year-old daughter. My older daughter lives with my sister up in Salt Lake, by the way. But yeah, I mean, I've got so many.
Not
good
the
things.
same
I've got-
sister from Craig, Colorado, though, is
Yes,
it?
yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
So she
lives-
had spent some time with her earlier in life.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
She adopted her when I went to treatment this last time.
Two beautiful
Got it.
daughters.
Yep, two beautiful
Fiance.
daughters. Yeah, fiance.
A lot of
Yeah.
brothers in recovery.
Yep,
You
tons.
took me out riding some
Tons of
ATVs
solid.
Oh, is
the
this
other
who you went
weekend.
with?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
looked fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've like I said, I've dipped back into the
you're having
hobbies
fun.
that I loved when I was a kid, and I knew that I had to replace that thrill with something, and I went back to the childhood
I love
fun.
that. We're really almost out of time. Do you have one final thought you'd like to leave with people?
You know, get a sponsor, work the steps.
Yeah.
You know, go whatever 12-step program of your choice. Get to the meeting,
Get it done.
participate, and go with them for coffee afterwards.
Just surrender.
Yeah, surrender.
I love it.
David Brown, thank you very much for your
Yeah,
time.
thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
We're out of time. I want to mention real quick, we got 1 second left. 1 week from today, I get 20 years of recovery.
Thank you for joining us today on We Do Recover with Jared Miller.
Help us spread our message of hope. Like, comment, and share.
If you have any topics or ideas for future shows, please share that on our Facebook page.
That Facebook page is We Do Recover with Jared Miller. If you or a loved one needs help, please reach out to us. Again, thank you for listening.
Brought to you by High Desert Counseling, Rise Up Supplements, and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast do not reflect those of its sponsors. This has been a production from a podcast studio.